All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a core survival philosophy, straight from the world of software engineering, that seriously applies to any team, any project, heck, even your own career. It's a way of thinking that builds systems strong enough to handle the most unpredictable part of any equation, people.
So get this. This quote comes from Cindy, a dental student who was organizing a volunteer camp. But honestly, she could have been any project manager in Silicon Valley watching their team just completely fall apart. Her story is the perfect case study for a huge flaw in how we think about teams, a flaw that top tech companies have spent billions trying to solve. Okay, let's get into it.
Cindy's story is really the perfect place to start. I mean, she poured her absolute heart and soul into organizing this free dental camp for a remote village. She was handling all the hard stuff, all the logistics herself, only to have her whole team of student volunteers just vanish right before the event, leaving all this critical work just sitting there, totally unfinished.
And she was, absolutely furious. She thought for sure their reputations in their little academic circle would be toast forever. But here's the hard truth. The kind of truth that architects and engineers build entire systems around. This wasn't just some random possibility. It was pretty much guaranteed to happen.
See, what happened to Cindy, it points to this really uncomfortable fundamental truth that all the elite tech companies get. You simply cannot build a project, a real one, and expect it to survive on just passion or honor or good intentions. Human motivation, it's just way too fragile for that.
And just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Without some kind of strong binding force, a salary, a contract, a person's commitment is really just tied to how fun the work feels right now. The second it gets hard or boring or something better pops up, poof, they can, and they often will, just walk. And just like that, their problem becomes your full-blown disaster.
This brings us to a really critical concept that system architects use to figure out just how fragile a team or a project really is. It sounds a little dark, I'll admit, but it is incredibly powerful.
So, a bus factor of 1? That means your entire project is just one person's bad day away from total catastrophic failure. The goal, then, isn't to go out and find some indestructible superhero for your team. The goal is to build a system that's so resilient that no single person leaving could ever sink the ship.
So how do you do that? How do you actually build for this? Well, you have to accept that uncomfortable truth, that people are your most unreliable variable, and you design a system to defend against that fact. And the solution is this amazing engineering concept, extreme modularization.
And this is just a brilliant way of thinking, right? It's not about trust. It's not about hoping people do the right thing. It's about architecture. You're not trying to change human nature. You're building a system that's immune to it. Let's break down how this actually works.
By breaking tasks down into these tiny little pieces and standardizing how they all connect, you're not just getting organized. You are systematically making every single person interchangeable. If one person dips out mid-task, someone else can just pick up that small, well-defined little module without needing weeks of meetings to get up to speed. The knowledge isn't stuck in someone's head anymore. It lives in the system itself.
Okay, so this is where things get a little controversial, but it's super important to understand. This entire way of thinking leads to this powerful idea, especially in big companies, the concept of employees as låsding, or, screws.
And I get it, right? A lot of people hear this and they think, wow, that's so dehumanizing. But think about it from an architect's point of view for a second. A machine built from thousands of custom, one-of-a-kind parts is incredibly fragile. But a machine built from standard, replaceable screws, well, it can't fail if one screw comes loose. You just pop it out and swap in a new.
And honestly, this is pretty much how a big company evaluates you. It's not just about what you can produce, it's about the risk you represent to the system. How modular is your work? That determines your immediate value as a screw. But it's your proven commitment, your reliability over time, that determines your long-term value and how much trust that company is willing to put in you.
So, this brings this whole architectural lesson right back to you and your career. The system, by its very design, wants you to be replaceable, so how do you break out of that? How do you make yourself indispensable?
Here's the secret. The way to become essential is not by hoarding knowledge or making your work so complicated no one else can figure it out. That just makes you a single point of failure. It lowers the team's bust factor, and it makes you a high-risk liability. No, the real path is to show a level of ownership that's so deep, so profound, that it proves you will never, ever become their problem.
You can see the path right here. You level up.
You go from that volunteer who might just bolt when things get tough to the reliable screw who does their specific, modular task perfectly. And then you make the final leap. You become an owner. An owner doesn't just do their little part, they take responsibility for the success of the entire system. That is the kind of commitment that companies will pay an absolute premium for.
So, here's the big takeaway. I want you to start looking at your teams, your projects, your entire career through the cold, rational lens of a system architect. Don't get angry at human nature like Cindy did. Instead, build robust systems and a professional reputation that can withstand it.
If you want to keep digging into these kinds of tech industry insights for your career or your business, definitely head over to aaronwubuilds.com. Oh, and for sure, subscribe to this channel. If you want to join the inner loop, get on the email list. Let's level up our business and our careers together from a true architect's perspective.